Sly weighs 100. This is my end of the year boxing rant video. I done missed so many predictions, done missed so many thoughts and analysis, and I done missed so many of y'all vids. Shout out to all the boxing channels. Shout out to everybody that's got a boxing channel on here. Shout out to the YTBC, man. I try to make this as brief as possible. Let me just go through some of the fights. First of all, it was a good year for boxing. It was a good year for boxing. Once again, we had upsets. And obviously, I think the biggest upset is, my Broner and Maidana. Maidana dethroning Broner. But was Broner really sitting on the throne? At least he thought he was. But, yeah, man, that fight right there humbled Broner, and hopefully Broner comes back and he learns from his mistakes. He comes back down to earth, because Broner does have talent, man. He does have talent, but I always felt it was talent that needed to be worked on, and many people did feel that way, but majority of the overall public seem to be bamboozled, punked, confused, and I think now the boxing ring where the truth is told at all times, the truth spoke, and the truth can hurt at first, but in the end they'll do you good. So, hopefully Broner comes back strong in 2014. Broner's got a broken jaw from what I hear. He could be out for a year, depending on where the breakage is at in the jaw, the extent of it's different factors that come into play when it comes to a jaw healing. We've seen Victor Ortiz. But, hopefully he can come back by the end of next year. He might only fight one fight next year, but from what I'm told, he has a broken jaw. I haven't really looked too much into it. Fights that have happened. Zab Judah and Paulie Malignaggi, man. Paulie did a great job and straight outbox Zab, It's funny at the end of the fight how Zab said, I expected Paulie to engage and fight, and he just wanted to box to the outside. And Zab, you're a boxer. Come on, man. That's what you do, too. Yeah, you have power to knock somebody out and finish him when you got him hurt, but you're a boxer, and you got outboxed by another boxer that was sharper, crisper, and faster that night, and that was the magic man, Paulie Malignaggi. I think Paulie Malignaggi is in his prime. That's just my opinion. And remember, a while back, I made a video, for those that have been with my channel, following the history of it. A while back, I made a video talking about prime, and it actually was about Zab Judah, which is on the flip side, which is coincidental. I felt Zab was in his prime. I feel Paulie's in his prime. Prime isn't just about being at your utmost physical capacity. I think prime also plays a part with experience, having the knowledge, because the more experience you get, the more well-rounded you become. The higher your IQ heightens in the sport, and all around now as a fighter. And Paulie actually looks, he always had fast hands, but he might actually even be a little bit faster than what he was. Ever since Paulie got with that new trainer, he's looked nice, man. With the exception of one fight, he's looked nice. So I think Paulie's in his prime. Excuse me. This brings me to Mayweather. Because this is a rant, I'm just going to jump around real quick. I think Paulie Malignaggi and Mayweather would make a good fight. Well, it would now. That fight, it won't be entertaining. Why? Because Mayweather cannot knock out a full-fledged welterweight, and I think that's what Paulie has grown into now. At first, he was just campaigning at that for fights, but I think Paulie really has grown now, and probably, got out of eating habits that he used to have to stay at 140. I think his body is kind of molded into 147 now. And Floyd's not known to knock out a full-fledged 147-pounder. But Floyd can get you stopped, with the right game plan. Paulie's a hard guy to stop. He's got a chin, but Paulie has, no power. So Paulie's not stopping Floyd. So this fight strictly is a boxing match, if it was to happen. Paulie Malignaggi versus Floyd. And from a competitive aspect, if Floyd's looking for the best available opponents competitively, not just all about money or with the, fan base and all that. But I know all that goes into play because it's going to be a pay-per-view fight. And people want to pay to see a certain opponent. But from a competitive aspect, I think Paulie versus Floyd would be an interesting fight. I'm a boxing fan. A fan of the craft. A fan of the art of boxing. The style called boxing. I'm a fan of. So I wouldn't mind seeing it. But overall, I know majority Or looking at the overall boxing world, whether you're casual, hardcore, or what, majority of people are like, they don't want to see that fight. When you hear about Paulie Malignaggi versus Floyd Mayweather, it's kind of like hearing about Devin Alexander versus Floyd Mayweather. You're turned off. But see, Devin Alexander, I felt, shouldn't even be in the same ring as Mayweather, whereas Paulie, I feel, can be in the same ring as Mayweather. Obviously, Mayweather can beat everybody, and he's on another level, but I think Paulie's a fit opponent, and he deserves a shot. But the only way that I could see that happening is if Paulie went and beat like Mike Donna, and then he went and beat another welterweight. Maybe Danny Garcia comes up and he beats him. Like, he would have to beat a couple more people to the point where, it's like, well, this guy ain't got no power and all he does is box. But we ain't got no choice but to face him because he done beat everybody at welterweight. But there's still fights for Paulie at welterweight. Even Pacquiao, who knows? Maybe he'll run into Pacquiao. You just never know what could happen. Like he said, he had planned on retiring. He beat Zab, and Al Heyman makes the big fight. So we'll see what Al Heyman does in 2014 with Magic Man Malignaggi. Nice win against Judah. Skipping around, Adonis Stevenson. I think Adonis Stevenson is like the Danny Garcia in the super middleweight / light heavyweight division, because the guy can make both weights. And the reason I say that is because if I rewind back real quick, you remember when Danny Garcia was facing Khan, right? Now, I called for Danny to win. A lot of people thought I was crazy. A lot of people felt that some people felt that Danny had a puncher's chance, and that the only way he could win is if he knocked Khan out. He couldn't outbox Khan. And I disagree. I feel Danny can outbox Khan even if he hadn't knocked Khan out. I felt he could have won rounds. The thing with Adonis Stevenson is a lot of people are buying into his power, and people think he can't box like that. But if you look at the Tavoris Cloud fight, he outboxed Cloud. He stopped Cloud, but he stopped him by boxing. You know what I mean? Of course, he's a puncher. You know what I mean? When he sees openings, he takes it. He takes risk. But he was actually boxing Cloud. Adonis Stevenson can box, in his way, his fashion, his style. It's not traditional. It's not the traditional way. It's not the prettiest way, but he can box. Just like Danny doesn't do it the traditional way, not the prettiest way. He may look stiff at times. He may look complacent. He may look out of place at times. Might not have the best footwork. He might not be the fastest fighter, but Danny can box in his own way, is the point I'm saying. He can box like he did to Lucas Matthysse for 12 rounds. And I know Lucas Matthysse is just one opponent, but what I'm saying is Danny can box. And Adonis Stevenson can box. These guys have more than just power, and I think people underestimate both the guys and just feel that, they just got power and that's it, Nah, they can do a lot more than you expect. So Adonis Stevenson against Bernard Hopkins would be an interesting fight to see how Stevenson handles Hopkins with his tactics, and if he can adjust to the skill level that Hopkins brings to the ring, even when he's not being dirty, because Hopkins is a very skilled fighter. Stevenson versus Kovalev, obviously both guys are punchers. I think Stevenson can beat Kovalev, but it's an interesting fight to watch because Kovalev brings it. He comes to fight, period, and everybody that he's touching are dropping like flies. So it's an interesting fight. It could be a shootout, and I guess the best chin will stand up to it. Whoever chin doesn't get cracked first. But two heavy punchers. Kovalev, to me, they're making out to be even slightly more powerful, like the most powerful man in boxing right now. I think Stevenson has shown me way more boxing skills than Kovalev, so I would favor Stevenson in that fight. But it's boxing, the theater of the unexpected. That's why you gotta make the fights to see what happens. So Adonis Stevenson had a great year. 4 fights in 1 year. That's great nowadays, because nowadays fighters on an average fight like twice a year. Ishmael Salak, well, my goodness, that was a scary ending. I'm just glad he got up, and I hope he's okay. And if he decides to continue boxing, best of luck to him. What other things can I talk about? Boxing. What a year it's been. Who would have thought that Victor Ortiz would have done better against Mayweather in 4 rounds than Canelo did in 12? Who would have thought? That's why the fights have to be made. Excuse me, man. I got a cold, man. It was a great year for boxing, man. That's what I wanted to say. A while ago back, I made a video called Open-Minded Thinking. Now, a lot of people felt that Maidana was tailor-made for Broner, and I didn't feel so that way at all. But a lot of people felt that way because I watched videos, I listened to opinions, I talked to people in real life, and the overall feeling I got was that people felt Maidana was, just was a perfect style matchup for Broner. Broner was just going to eat him up, and it wasn't so. That's why the fight's got to be made. No man is invincible in the ring to me. No man, not even Mayweather. That's just me personally. No man is invincible. Even if I wasn't a fighter at one time, I don't fight no more. You never know the future. I could go back to the ring, but as of right now, I'm on my chill. I'm on my laid back. I got a lot of things I'm trying to accomplish in life right now. I'm looking at different direction, but even if I wasn't a fighter, if I was just a fan, I don't see any man as invincible. I don't see Mayweather as great as he is. I don't see him as being invincible. So we gotta make the fights. We're quick to bash it. Paulie versus Mayweather. I don't want to see that fight. We already know what's gonna happen. Man, you never know. What if Paulie is able to box this man to a draw? Huh? What if? Just what if? I'm just saying, what if? You gotta make the fights. You never know what can happen in boxing. You gotta make the fights, man. You just never know what can happen. Speaking of that, James Kirkland is another man I wanted to touch on. Kirkland's back, man, and he gave Jersey Boy a beatdown. When I seen the two guys fighting, because I knew a little bit about the Jersey kid, and I seen a couple of his past fights, kid got a lot of heart, seemed to have decent power. I said it's gonna be a shootout with James Kirkland, and Kirkland ain't gonna stop coming until you knock him out. And the fight's probably going to end in a knockout. It's got knockout written all over it because the referee is Steve Smoger. And Steve Smoger will let the boys fight, Steve Smoger will stop a fight after the fight has already been knocked out unconscious. That's when he'll stop the fight. Kind of happened in this fight. You didn't know that last shot the kid took was scary, man. It's like he was already knocked out on his feet, and Smoger was just holding him up. I was like, now you want to stop the fight. But, shout out to Steve Smoger, man. That guy is a great guy, My blessings go out to him and his family. Very great guy, man.